1,239. In the case of, well, of course it's been longer, but in the case of the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, let's go to this. I wanted to start it with this. See if I can. Yeah, I wanted to start it with this. Let's see. While I'm getting to the Facebook, make sure that everything is working. That's working. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Let's see if you can hear me now. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Oh, gosh. And I'm going to, yeah, I can hear now. Sorry. That was my fault. I accidentally clicked the button when I was trying to share. So what I was talking about are the flag officers. That's what I was talking about. The flag officers are don't have a good reputation at all. Matter of fact, I'm in these groups and they can't even name a good flag officer. They can't name one that is faithful to their duty. And so, I'm asking everyone, especially the military community, name a faithful flag officer, because we need that. We need to know that we have a general out there that is faithful, because we know that the 44 generals and admirals have betrayed us, are serving foreign and domestic enemies. We know that. Confession is a cure of souls, right? Can they turn on a dime? I think they can. Do I want Sean Bernabe arrested? Absolutely. Absolutely. They need to be held accountable for what they've done. Because in their position, and they are over the service members that are trained to kill, to war. And they are allowing young men that are being trained to kill, to go to war, to be co-ed with our young volunteer daughters at a ratio, at best, 9-1. So when people talk about, oh, well, the barracks are co-ed, that's no big deal, the colleges are co-ed. No. This is very different. And every flag officer and 4-star general knows it. And I know it because I'm part of that community. Team Flying Richard Halliday is huge and has a long history in the military. My dad, my father-in-law, my husband. And I know one thing. They were trained. Even though my husband was, my dad was a missile repairman, and my husband was a physician assistant, a medic first, and then a nurse, and then a physician assistant. They carried a weapon. And they went to war. And medics, after chaplains, medics are the largest casualty. And I don't think people know that the chaplains always have been a huge, in the history of warring, the number one casualty. And then comes medics. So, I know that the soldiers need good leadership because they're being trained to be killers. And that's why our generals and our flag officers need to be of the utmost character, not subject to being compromised. And right now, um, just the fact that they cannot secure a military installation is huge. Is huge. They cannot even secure an emergency intake center for children on a military installation that is training our young volunteer sons and daughters to be warriors, killers. We have weapons on those military installations. And when you are learning how to operate sophisticated weapons, which I've been listening to these NCOs, and they say they've put in complaints that they are sending our young sons and daughters into war without proper training. They don't want to spend the money on the ammunition and the training with the correct weapons. Why? Because we know that on these, especially Fort Bliss, we absolutely know that the leadership has been compromised. And I allege that they are weapon smuggling. They are weapon smuggling, and they are ammunition smuggling, and they are compromised. And it's the only answer to why they do not secure the military installation that they command, that they are working outside of the law. It's the only, because see, Thomas Kane, the director of emergency services, and he's compromised. He's absolutely compromised. He was the chief of security for Fort Bliss, and he's absolutely compromised because he knew that the JAG on Fort Bliss is working outside of the law. He knew that the interference in our son's case was due to a political and a cover-up, retaliation against a key witness in our case, because there was no packet. There was no investigation into the allegations. And we know, absolutely, I know, and Team Fire and Richard Halliday that went to the meetings with us absolutely know, and all of the media interviews that we have conducted, is that the military leadership is in contact with media like Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, absolutely in contact and colluding with them. This is my allegation, because I don't even think it's an allegation. I want to say it's a charge, but I have to be careful and say, oh, it's an allegation. But our evidence clearly shows the colluding between the military and Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. Because Bob Moore interfered in Richard Halliday's case, the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, without ever doing one story on him. Never doing a story on the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, on a missing murdered soldier. Yet will interfere in the case. And then he's the only media that has inserted himself into the August 3rd, that's Dallas Hart's birthday, 2019 Walmart mass shooting case that the military were involved in. And, I got a message and I thought it was a good message saying, oh, because there was probably soldiers there and whatever, and that's why the military was there. Okay, that's possible. That's possible. But I I don't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. The level of collusion and corruption and compromise that I have seen from the leadership at Fort Bliss, the not only the command leadership, but from the likes of Thomas Kane, from the likes of Dirty Agent Marlon Soto, who's still there. He shouldn't be. Um, by the likes of Tavita Nusa, who lost his badge, who absolutely is implicated in the murder of our son. I believe he's absolutely implicated. We have enough in the murder of our son. And, big suspect in it. Um, and also the IG. And we're talking about Donna Martin. We're talking about CID Donna Martin. Absolutely. When you see the level um, of collusion and collaboration, then you find out, you just do. I mean, it was simple. A few days of looking at all the videos of Petra Crucius, and I know people don't just look at, go back in time and with fresh eyes look at videos of Petra Crucius, and and part of me, my profession is education, and my passion is to assess the child. Um, I think assess is a good word, not judge, but assess, to put together the best curriculum possible to meet the needs of that child, of that person. That's my passion, because I don't believe that one size fits all. I believe, and I've said this over and over again, that each person has talents and gifts given to them by God. They are all different. Each person is different. Each child is different. And that's one reason why I got out of public school, because in the 80s, they went to No Child Left Behind, and that program put all children into, one box. One box with a lot of tests, bubble test after bubble test after bubble test, and that was going to judge each child, right? That was going to be the judge of each child, how they could perform in these bubble tests. And every child had to meet that, had to learn what was in that box and teach to the test. And I just thought, this is insanity. It's kind of like the whole COVID insanity, where they want to give you this Cobra strike, which they make billions off of, right? And people didn't even ask, how could they make these Cobra strikes? To produce the billions of Cobra strikes, that takes factories. That takes, it's kind of like, what is that Jason Bourne movie where I think it's the fourth one. It's not Jason Bourne. It's the fourth one, and they have to go to the place where they make the medication, right? And they have to go across the world. I think it's Indonesia or the Philippines. I think it's the Philippines. They have to go there because they don't make it in the United States, right? We don't keep them here. We have to, well, we have to go to where they're made. Oh, Philippines. Let's get on a plane. We have to go all the way over there. And then, you're making billions and billions of vials or whatever for these Cobra strikes. You're making them for this Novo thing. It has to be new. And, um, and you have to make billions of them. And nobody questions it. And some people have diabetes and some people have hypertension and some people are older and some people are younger and some people are overweight and some people are underweight. And, it, it was absolutely insanity. Absolutely. And, the Army put on a show. And I think all of our services put on a show. And it was disgusting what they did to our service members. And it was because of this COVID lockdown that I believe the murderers could get away with a lot more when they killed Richard and messed with his corpse, dismembered his corpse, tampered with his remains, and concealed his remains. And what other, there has to be, to me, a trail, right? But because the agencies were not working in full capacity, and absolutely they knew that it was a political hit. Absolutely they knew that it was insanity. And, I just, these are our leaders that have power over our volunteer sons and daughters that are being trained to handle weapons, to use weapons, and to kill people. And where is the moral scrutiny? Where is the scrutiny of these leaders? It is, that they're allowing child sex pornography. I mean, Dallas was an officer, and he's running over to his mom's house looking for child pornography, which is child torture. Child torture. And he is supposed to be deployed to a foreign land to represent the United States and war for, good things, democracy or whatever. Come on, y'all. I have learned so much through this. And the wool pulled over our eyes is even more than what we ever thought. More than what we ever thought. And Thomas Kane's audios reveal that. He's revealing a whole new narrative than what they were trying to give us. because he reveals that Richard is deceased. Okay? Did he say it like that? Did he was so kind like that? Was he respectful? Does he have any morals? Does he have any integrity? Does he have any honor? Does he have any respect for our service members? No. Because he said Richard was a good meal for the coyotes. That's a leader for you. That's a leader over an unsecured military installation that is absolutely using tactical move storage units to do their trafficking, to do their smuggling, to do the criminal compromised actions that we know that they're doing, because there are dozens of witnesses. Dozens. Yes, we have an active duty soldier that has put in a request for a congressional inquiry. Yes. Yes, we have an FBI employee that exposed that Richard's remains were found by the FBI in October of 2020. Yes, we have that witness. We have a witness as a cashier. And we have dozens more. Yes, we know that Leilani Hart is up to no good. It's, her relationship with Thomas Kane, her relationship with Tavita Nusa, her relationship with Park University, her relationship with the VA, her relationship with the command. We know Major General Clem Coward is implicated in the forced disappearance and the murder of Richard, a flag officer. Now, maybe those are tough, or maybe I should say, alleged. No, we have dozens of witnesses. We have pictures. We have screenshots. We have audio recordings. We have everything that we need. Richard is murdered. Is our goal to get his remains? Yes, that's our goal. So yesterday we issued our first notice of intent for legal action. That is huge news because it's taken a while, because we wanted to be sure. We're sure that Richard was trying to expose the crimes going on Fort Bliss. And by exposing the crimes, he was exposing the criminals, and those criminals were the same criminals, I believe, because of Bliss Avenue, because we have hard evidence, Bliss Avenue, that were involved in the August 3rd, that's Dallas Hart's birthday, 2019 Walmart mass shooting. So the criminals kept being criminals. They kept killing. And, the military are trained killers. That's why Veronica Escobar needs to be vigilant over Fort Bliss. That's why Senator Cruz needs to be vigilant over Fort Bliss. That's why the generals need to be of the utmost caliber when it comes to character, because they are serving as leaders to young, mostly males, full of vim and vigor, that are being trained to be killers. And so when Dick Durbin says, oh, we should just give the migrants, we should just put them in the military. Our military, we don't have enough of our volunteer sons and daughters that want to enlist voluntarily, so we'll just use the migrants. Welcome to America. That is so inhumane and a very dangerous game. So, and the good news, and there's a lot of good news, because we have institutional support. That's how we even received audio. There's institutional support now, even from the command of Fort Bliss, that, I don't have that many kind words to say, because we have a suicide problem. We have PTSD problem. We have a sexual assault problem. We have child pornography, which is child torture problem. We have the human trafficking problem. We have the weapon smuggling problem. We have that they can't even secure the military installation. We know that because there are unregistered weapons all over Fort Bliss. We know that because of the health and welfare check that just occurred in 2023. That means they are letting people bring things in and out. No problems. No problems. I mean, these were massive amounts of unregistered weapons. To those and for those who are trained, and we want to be trained to use weapons. I'm not against weapons. I'm against the criminals having control over our young sons and daughters that are trained to use these weapons, and they have control over them, and they can give them orders, or they can bring in young girls to party with these, ruin the lives by putting stumbling blocks in front of our service members that are volunteering, and even health stumbling blocks. And then when you have a soldier that whistle blows and says, wait a minute, we have security problems. We have a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks being prostituted out. We have a platoon leader that's running over to his mama's house to look for child pornography that he has on his computer and his tab and whatever. Right? We have a dirty agent in the CID. We have a compromised DES. So then you have a whistleblower, and the whistleblower then gets retaliated against. And murdered. Because he didn't want children to be tortured. And, Richard going to CPS is huge, because they were, handling, they've had these emergency intake centers, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I don't know what this one was just transferred to North Carolina, but 85,000 vanishing children. 85,000. And if they're operating on a shoestring, then I would go, "Oh my gosh, they didn't even keep record or whatever." But they don't operate on a shoestring. They get everything that they want or need. And the contracts are huge. And they can't keep record. I'm sure they have it somewhere, of these children that come in and they're migrants. I think they are. That's what they tell us, that they're migrants. And are they unaccompanied, or have they been separated from their parents? I think that they're unaccompanied because, for the most part, they're around, from what I read. So if you know about it, you can tell me. 13 to 17 years old. Okay, 13 to 17 years old. And, there are some that are younger. And we're not holding the criminals accountable. And, then they make a lot of money. And then people go, "Oh, wow, crime pays. I better get into crime." And then it's a domino effect. And then we have a criminal syndicate. And then we have total chaos in our cities. And in Juarez, okay, so this is a good thing to talk about in Chicago. And Chicago is a very unique city. It is an ancient city, y'all. It is really. You have to look into Chicago. It's just amazing. But it's a pretty dangerous city. It's like one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. And they had, let me think, I think I wrote it down. How many, I think it was 500 or 398 homicides. Yeah, 575. So 575 homicides Chicago had in 2023 right now, which is huge. Huge. It's terrible. And in El Paso, so far, I think it's around average 110, 120 murders a year in El Paso. Okay? So you have this huge city, Chicago, Illinois, 575, which is huge. You have El Paso, about 120. But then you have Juarez, that is at over 1,100. 1,100 murders. And these are not nice murders. These are tortures. These are dismemberment. This is really gruesome. And so many women and children. So there is something and if people don't understand how that's related, that means there's a lot of cartel, that's activity, lots of organized criminal activity, and it goes over that border. It goes over that border. And I'm thinking it goes from Texas to Mexico, or New Mexico to Texas. To Mexico. because they've been caught. This is not me. They've been caught with these trucks with loaded with these tactical move storage units full of ammunition and weapons, human trafficking. So I don't know if they're bringing in, the migrants are coming into the United States and then they're being shipped out. I don't know. The Sound of Freedom seems to be a true story, and maybe that's what's happening here. So I think it's very important that people know that Richard Halliday is the Vanessa Guillen First Absent soldier, and he took those steps. He was pretty alone, but since then, Team Find Richard Halliday has grown those whistleblowers. And I think it's very important for whistleblowers to understand that they are not alone anymore. And we showed that with the soldier that requested the congressional. We put out that petition. You know, you're talking so many people looked at that petition. Did they, our numbers are way up there, way up there. And did they all sign? No, people are afraid. They don't want to put their name out there, but we have 355 signatures on that. Please sign it, please, because know that you're not in that same situation. I think that there is a shift going on. I was even listening to news. Who was I listening to? But it was about this shift, this change, that we are entering into a reset. And I know through history there's been several resets. And I think we're entering into a reset. Things are changing very quickly. And I think for the better. I'm very optimistic. Because I think that people now, instead of, how God says, and one of the great parts in the Messiah is, all we like sheep, all we like sheep. We're so, and if you've ever been around sheep, which I have, lots of sheep, they were all around me in our home in Ireland. Sheep are very, very skittish. They're very beautiful, and they're very skittish. And, to take a stand, it takes a lot to get the nerve up, to get the courage up, and to legal action. The notice of intent to legal action. I think that's very, very important. And because of that, we have some new announcements coming up that are, forthcoming on how we want to move forward with those legal actions, and also how we want to move forward because we want to keep moving forward in everything. There's no backpedaling. There's no reverse button with Team Find Richard Halliday. We're moving forward. We want accountability. We want Richard's remains. And so that's why we're very grateful for the audio, and there's so much. Just I'm very glad y'all are patient with us because there's so much on there. And one of the really relieving information that's on those audios is that a false narrative was decided upon, that they would smear Richard's name, his character, that they would put false witness testimony out there against Richard's actions and his character, so that the law enforcement community would have no incentive to look for Richard. That is, it just repeats what we experienced and what we have kept saying. And so, and all of it corroborates with all of our other evidence when it comes to the Interpol, when it comes to Richard's record, when it comes to the setup job for the, illegal DUI stop. It also, it just corroborates what we know about Richard as his family. So that was very great to hear. And I know from the bond agent, she was saying, oh my gosh, he was so sweet. He was so sweet. He just did whatever I told him to do. So we have that testimony. There's so many witnesses, y'all. We have dozens and dozens of witnesses. And you can go 3 years listening to a daily live stream on Richard and know that we have dozens of witnesses. So, and we do still have the $150,000 for information that will find Richard. So put that out there. And we will, I have some news, but I'm just not at liberty to share it today, maybe tomorrow. And I do want to say that Major General Eisenhower has changed his tone. And I think in favor of Team Find Richard Halliday. And I think that is good news. That is good news because we are exposing Bob Moore of El Paso Matters and malicious intent when it comes to our son's case. And I think that since he works so closely with Fort Bliss, I think that is huge, huge news. And the other big news before I go, I think it's, I have to mention it, I think for a while, day in and day out, so that everyone has a chance to hear this huge news. And that is that Yvonne Rosales, this is breaking news, Yvonne Rosales, the district attorney that came in after she beat Jaime Esparza for the district attorney, we have a confirmation that she was absolutely investigating Richard's case, looking into Richard's case. And so that's very good news. The other news is that Loretta Lynn Hewitt, the prosecutor that was hired out of San Antonio because of all of her experience, way more experience than anybody there in El Paso, was hired by Bill Hicks to lead the August 3rd, that's Dallas Hart's birthday, 2019 Walmart mass shooting case, and of course the Petra Crucius case. She was brought in to lead that. She has resigned now. She's the 9th prosecutor to resign or die. And in this case is a botched case, which means Richard's case is a botched case. And she absolutely said that it was for political reasons that it's botched, that it's left in pieces, and that who has a lot to do with that? Of course, Bill Hicks, the district attorney, for political reasons. This is a political machine, just like Bob Moore, a political machine, which violates his 301c3, and you can write to EO class EO class at irs.gov, I believe, a complaint about Bob Moore and using the media, his media and his tax-free media, politically as a political attack machine. And so Loretta Lynn, getting back to the DA's office, Loretta Lynn Hewitt absolutely shreds Bill Hicks and his office. And it's really something to read and look into. And she mentions the key player in all this, and that is John Briggs. And John Briggs, who is the key player, why? Because he was the assistant district attorney under Jaime Esparza. He was the assistant district attorney under Yvonne Rosales, and he is the assistant district attorney under Bill Hicks. He has been there through this whole thing, and the case is left into pieces, and Loretta Lynn Hewitt calls him out and shreds him for his botching this case that may lead to Patrick Crucius walking away. That's how bad this is. That's how bad this is. And so if that case is botched, and we have the witness testimony, there you go, another witness, because she absolutely is a witness for Richard Halliday's case because of Bliss Avenue, that sweet address, Bliss Avenue, that connects everything with the Walmart case to Richard's case. And so if that case is botched, then Richard's case is botched. And so so we need an investigation into Richard's case. We need to find his remains. And yeah, not one that's led by dirty agent Marlon Soto or Tavita Nusa, who's rolling in the hay with Leilani Hart, being compromised by Leilani Hart, and Leilani Hart having her fingers everywhere on Fort Bliss and more with this sex cult thing. She seems to run this sex cult thing, and that's how she ruins people and compromises them and gets them to do things for her. And who is she? Who really is she? Because she has a questionable immigration status. She is a convicted criminal. Over and over, she just brings chaos everywhere. It's like she wants to bring chaos to the United States. She wants to bring chaos into the military. She wants the military compromised. And we know that she served under Clem Coward before he even was a flag officer. So before he was a general, right? And so she has a long history. And then, the question for us being, so connected with the military and Team Find Richard Halliday being so big, and the questions that come into us from our team is, who is compromised in HRC? Human Resources. Because the military doesn't let people homestead. But they did in El Paso. They are in El Paso. Why? Why are they homesteading these people? Why are they there for so long that they can get so enmeshed in one another that they become a criminal enterprise? Something is compromised in HRC. Somebody has power that they control the assignments of certain people into certain positions there on Fort Bliss and maybe other places, and in the VA, because don't forget, Shaky Jake, Command Sergeant Major, who absolutely was the right-hand guy for Major General Clem Coward, and he was shaking. I call him Shaky Jake. And he's the one that we brought in the young party girls during the COVID lockdown, right? And then we found out that it was Thomas Kane that worked with them to give those girls the passes, the special passes. I mean, these leaders want the worst for our service members. So, which means that our country will be hurt because of it. And that's how, Richard should not be deceased. He should be a thriving young man. A thriving young man serving his country, distinguished honor graduate, aspiring to be in the CID. That's what he should be. But the leadership, and I think a lot of parents, and I know a lot of parents because I've spoken with them, feel the same way. Asia Graham should be alive right now. Austin Hawk should be alive right now. Caleb Smither should be alive right now. Enrique Roman Martinez should be alive right now. Lavina Johnson should be alive right now. Denisha Montgomery should be alive right now. Elder Fernandez should be alive right now. And I can go on and on. Vanessa Guillen should be alive right now. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, thank you so much, everyone, for coming on, and I hope, see if I said everything I wanted to. I just wanted to point out the murders and Juarez, and that Yvonne Rosales, we did get confirmation that she was. That means there's a paper trail, which is very good for us. That she was investigating. She was investigating. And there seems to be some inner trouble in the media. So, and if you have been following the news, then you know that some things are so ugly. And I just don't have the heart to cover it tonight. All I know is that we need accountability for these very, very violent crimes. And this is, the Advent season. Advent to us means kind of like Lent. Like Lent, it's a confessional time. It's a penitential time. It's the preparation. It's the humility. Looking at ourselves, preparing ourselves, because the King of Kings is manifesting himself, and he is the health of the world. He's the Savior of the world, which means health physically, health mentally, health to the earth itself. I mean, joy to the world that we sing in Christmastide. No more will sin and sorrow reign, and thorns infest the field, right? Don't we sing that? I hope I got that right. It's a time of healing and beauty and light. And And so, in order to prepare for that, it's like preparing for a surgery, I guess. You um, you just have to humble yourself, and we play these beautiful remind ourselves the importance of Christmas, and absolutely, um, according to the calendar, and if you're really into chronology and all of that, which being getting into homeschooling, you get into chronology because you want that history lesson and so many things that we have learned. But according to the five astronomical lines of time, meaning historical, meaning eclipses, meaning the solar cycle, meaning the lunar cycle, meaning um, the transits of the stars, absolutely, Jesus was born because of Zacharias being the eighth priest um, in the cycle of his priestly duties, the knowing the date of the birth of John the Baptist. Um, there's just so much information uh, that we know for sure that Jesus was born on the night of December 25th. And I hope that that gives you joy, because it sure did me when we were going through that study. It was just amazing. And one of the points, and I don't know if this has to do with Richard or not, but it does. It all has to do with Richard because he's part of our family, and he knew that you know, um, this is kind of new information. I would share it with him. Absolutely, I would share it with him. And it's Josephus, and if you don't know who Josephus is, he's a great Hebrew historian, and he mentions that we know it's December 25th, and we know that there were sheep in the field, and all the shepherds, and Richard and I, with our family, we went to Israel. We went to Shepherd's Field, and right outside of Bethlehem, um, right there in Bethlehem, I guess, right out and outside of Jerusalem, and we were told how many sheep that were going to be needed in March for Passover. And of course, there were lots of sheep in the field because they needed at least 250,000 sheep for Passover. And I thought that was amazing information. Um, Amazing information, because we're told at Christmas time that the hosts of angels, and I think it's Archangel Gabriel comes down. Fear not, for I bring good tidings of great joy. Um, it's a host, it's an army of angels. And I absolutely believe in angels, 100% believe in angels. That's another story too, why I believe in angels so much. Um, but I think it's really important to focus on some of the powers of God when you're going through um, and having to go up against the powers of darkness. Um, because the powers of God are light and health and mental health and beauty and miracles of joy. And I just think that that's very important, especially during Advent, all the time, all the time. Um, so thank you so much for joining, and I hope that that gives you I don't know, a lift in the terrible murder of Richard, the terrible murder of Richard. But we're gonna we're gonna move forward and we're gonna get accountability. Praise God on that one. So thank you so much. God bless you, and